言うことは一つだけ。絶対負けねえ!
How's it going, everybody? This is me, Nothing XS, with player analysis for the new Dreamfest unit, Gentile, and also we're going to talk about Kaltz and Nitta since they are the pickup players. I do not have the banner stuff in front of me because this is based off of the information that we got from Subasa.im, as it was released early on the site, and we're not out of maintenance yet, so I can't use the game client to show you any information. So we're just going to dive straight into it, and we're going to talk about these units and what they have, and whether you should get them or not. Obviously, Kaltz and Nitta have been around before, but I have never reviewed them, and so I'll review them for you. And Gentile is brand new, so we'll talk about them. All of these units are good. Dreamfest units are almost always pretty good. So let's just dive right in. Now for Salvatore Gentile, world's best sweeper, he is a defender in green. He is a blocker. There's really not a lot to say about him. He's pretty straightforward. He's a green Dreamfest blocker who's good at tackling and won't really help you on offense. So unlike Pierre and Misugi, who are a little bit better at offense, and so if you need to bring the ball up, they can help you. And Pierre, who kills blue players, and Misugi, who is hard to run out of gas with, and they're a little bit better at bringing the ball up, he's more of like 8k range in all the offensive stats. He's kind of a boring SS unit in that since he has the second best block in the game, that makes him about like the third best blocker behind Dream Collection Robson and the free Jito. But since he has the 14th best tackle in the game at 10.2 thousand, it makes him really scary, right? Like, it's really difficult to deal with. So basically, for his pros, he's a top blocker, great tackler, good pass cutter. He has good skill support with access to an easy A80 tackle because power tackle is easy to get. He has a good pass that you can teach him, several passes actually. He has an A dribble, etc. Now, for cons, he has a boring passive. He knows auto block, and it's at 50%, which is as good as the red Robson, I believe. Stand firm would have been a lot more interesting, honestly, but I think if they would have given him that, he'd probably actually be too broken. And again, there's just not a lot to say about this unit. He's a ball of stats who's good at blocking, right? Like, and that makes him double S. Like, being a ball of stats that's good at blocking is good enough to make you double S in this game, honestly. Now, for his limit break, I would do tackle 22, speed 3, then block and power 25, and then interception 22, technique 3. The reason for that is because since he's still pretty decent at intercepting, you want to give him the support for it. And since you can give him an A80 tackle, which will be capped at 300 momentum, which is pretty nice, you might as well also give him the tackle bonus so that he can go out there and tackle all the balls that he's not going to block. Now, whoa. For his stats, as you can see, 5,000 in the major categories for offense, except 5.5 in pass, which does help him get like a 8.4k pass. Sorry about that. He's a 7.3 thousand tackler and 8,000 blocker. That's good enough for about 10,000 block in game. I mean 10,000 tackle in game and 11,000 block, 11.4 thousand block in the game. That makes him again the #2 best blocker in the game with stats alone. So obviously his white block is very strong. His speed, power, and technique are actually kind of middling for a Dreamfest unit. They actually made sure to raise his primary stats first. That's why you get 8,000 categories and better defensive stats than anything. Curiously, he's also, I think, the second best clearer on the defense and the second best trap defender. Like he traps the ball the best on defense, second best in the game. I actually don't know who the first one is. I didn't check. But that's pretty nice information to have, right? As for his skill build, I would keep the new star block. If you have the crappy, not the crappy, he's actually pretty good, but the other older green Gentile, I would give him dandy interception because it's a nice interception to have. And even S1, it's pretty powerful, and that way you don't have to rely on the leveling up the A80, which you might be competing with your SR balls to level other stuff. Maybe pull it off and keep it handy just in case. Level up his A tackle, but give him A power tackle instead because you probably have a bunch of A80s lying around. Then S dandy pass is nice on him, and A power dribble is nice on him. Listen, it's really easy to get A80 power tackle from SR units, so just take advantage of that. Dandy interception, again, S is pretty nice. There's really no reason to play the old Gentile over this one, honestly. He's pretty flexible for a defender if he has to bring the ball up because of his skills, but I wouldn't recommend it. I will only teach him those skills in the event that I have to go into a matchup to get rid of the ball because I'm going to face like a bad forward. So now let's move on to some of the older units that are coming back. Let's talk about Herman Cults. Oh, by the way, even though he is an SS unit, I don't think you have to go for broke for him, especially if you already have Pierre and Misugi. If you don't have one or the other, then yeah, sure, you might want to go for this Gentile. If you're hurting on defense, you might want to go for this Gentile. If you really need a blocker, then sure. But if you don't, you already have Pierre and Gentile, you don't really need this guy. He'd be nice, but he's not required. However, Herman Cults, Burning Germanic Spirit. Upon original release, Kaltz was the best pass cutter in the game when he came out. A long time ago, actually. He was also in a color that kind of needed a pass cutter because red had no way to deal with green's passing, even though they were a color that is supposed to beat green. They had no real way of dealing with it. Since he's released, he's only dropped to the 5th best unit at what he does, which is pass cutting. He's still the best red pass cutter in the game, better than Bunak. And he's paired with an incredibly good pass cut skill, which caps at 475. And since he has color advantage against the best passers in the game, and he gets a 70% automatic pass cut passive, which is actually a very good automatic passive, he's one of the few old Dreamfest units that's still crazy good. And I put a space there, it's a typo, I'm the worst. Anyways, he's the best red pass cutter in the game with a great pass cut skill. He's a competent blocker as well. He has about 9,000, almost 9,000 pass, even though he's a defensive unit. He's obviously a defensive midfielder, but still. I don't know. I think it's just a really solid unit. My cat is walking all over here. Anyways, I think for cons, he's a little inflexible. You are gonna end up using S artistic interception for everything, including people who might dribble you and people who might be shooting the ball, because he's so good at it and you're not very good at anything else unless you level up those A skills really high. Again, since your tackle is only like 8.8 and your block 9.3, you're gonna end up being like, well, I gotta block this shot, throw an intercept at it, right? Like that happens a lot. But since he's so good at intercepting, he's the kind of character that, you know, every problem is a nail and he's the hammer. So now for his stats, he has more than 1,000 stamina. He's got 6,000 tackle and block and about 7.4 intercept. That's good enough to give him 10.8k intercept, 9.3k block, and 8.8k tackle. He's actually a little bit better at passing than he is at tackling, despite him being a defensive midfielder, which is kind of weird. He's actually the 3rd best clear unit and the 3rd best defensive trapping unit, which is, again, it's kind of funny that both of them are in the same banner, right? It's kind of funny to me. It's just like a weird observation. For his skill build, I would keep the S interception, I would keep the A tackle, and I would keep the A block. I would also give him the A pass, and if you farmed the S dribble from the last stream pot, then I would give him that. Frankly, give him the dribble, that way he just has an extra option on offense if he needs it. And pull the A pass off of the bad, crappy red Kaltz that Danny can't seem to stop pulling. Try not to use C40 loop pass because it's not very strong. It's just C precise pass with 5 stamina cheaper. It's just better to have A80 loop pass instead. It's just that much stronger. Frankly, I limit broke him. We'll go back to limit break as we're going to talk about it. I limit broke him on speed instead of raising his tackle, and that's because since the pass cutter with a really good auto pass cut, you want him to be all over the place when it comes to trying to get his body in the way of passes. And so you really need high speed for that. Intercept and technique, I mean, obviously is what you need, and 2303 block so that your A block feels a lot stronger than it is. And that's pretty much like my rating of him. He's a clogger. He makes the midfield a mess to get through with his A cut, and so you should take advantage of that. If you need to go for broke for him because you don't have a good pass cutter or a good defensive midfielder in red, I recommend you do it. He's really good. He's worth doing it with, honestly. He's probably one of the best old Dreamfest units in the game, if not probably still the best. When I say old Dreamfest, I mean kind of like pre-Bunak is what I would say, is what I would consider the old Dreamfest units. So let's talk about who's up next. Nitta. Yes, Nitta. Shun Nitta, the Godspeed Falcon Fighter. He's one of the forwards best equipped to deal with opponents who want to do birdcage bullshit. I did say I would try not to swear on these, but yeah, if people are trying to do birdcage BS and you don't have any way to deal with it, this is the unit to do it with. Nitta is a bit of an undervalued unit because his actual ability to finish isn't great. Because even though he has good low balls, he doesn't have a good volley, and despite being an 11k shooter, he has a weak shot. However, since he has 7.1,000 speed, you're able to pressure defenses with him, so he does have a use. It's just not as your primary striker. He his main goal is to chase the ball down on offense, and blue players kind of seem to forget that. Blue Japan obviously can really use him next to Hyuga, but I don't think he completely fits in a blue team in general because I guess like a Spadas or some other units might be able to do his job a little bit better in terms of scoring, but since he's not your primary scorer, you should think about that. Also, since he does chase a lot of characters down, he does actually have pretty interesting skill support with good with an intercept, an A intercept, and an S intercept, an A tackle, stuff like that. He's got the moves to be able to be the support forward. So again, for his pros, he's very fast. He's a good but not great shooter. Like he's not top tier. He's just pretty good. Insight Master does make him even better at the kind of chase down garbage. If he does get into a matchup, all you gotta do is read the opponent and you can take the ball away. Now cons, he's maligned. He's pretty maligned for not being a top tier scorer, and that's a good enough reason, right? Because you only really tend to have 2 or 3 scorers on your team, and he's gonna take the slot of one of them. So you would have to make it up by having more scorers on your midfield, and that's not always an option. For example, like Blue Japan only has like what, that really bad Blue Japan Misaki from World Cup, who's really not good at scoring, but that would turn out to be one of the characters that would have to score instead of just Hyuga. So it feels real bad. None of his shooting skills are very strong, and his A pass is no longer available, so you can't really farm it anymore, which kind of sucks. Falcon pass is pretty good. Ato watanomimasu. Anyways, he has 25 speed. Our limit break, sorry, is 25 speed, because that way he chases down people even faster. He'll end up having 8.1k speed base, 25 shot and 25 power, you know, so that you can still put that shooting to use. And then I will do 997 on the pass intercept technique block, so that you can let go of the ball better once you get it, and obviously have a better chance at white intercepting and of using your skill intercepts. As a unit, he's got more than 1,000 stamina. He's at 1,004. Again, 7,000 speed is his second best stat, and 7,841 shot. Makes him pretty good. That does mean that his actual in-game shot is 11,111, which is a pretty funny number. For tackle and dribble, he's better than 9,000, which is pretty nice on a forward. Everything else is kind of like at 8,000s, 8.3,000. You know, not bad, but not great either. But obviously, like for example, some people were able to farm 880 Falcon Pass, so that's nice to have on his pass. Even if it's not like insanely top tier, it's still 880. It's still pretty strong. And then obviously he has access to like an A dribble and an A tackle and all these other skills that will be very useful for you to teach him. Also, he has 12.5% at low ball because he's good at low balls. Unfortunately, his best volley is a 415 cap, which is not great. And so if you were going to build him, I would suggest that you keep the S shot. Obviously you can't do anything about it, but you give him an A cut, an A dribble, an A tackle, and the A pass. He's primarily more of like a support role forward, so it's best to give him skills that are mostly supportive as a forward, so you can take advantage of his high speed. Obviously, if you don't have a source for A Falcon Pass, you keep the volley. Swift interception is better and easier to level than Falcon interception. Falcon interception just looks a little bit cooler, but Swift interception's again better off because there's more SR units that you can spend on it, and you probably have one leveled up somewhere that you can pass him. And frankly, they're like the same skill. I actually don't remember which Nitta learns A Swift interception, so if you can remind me which one it is, so that I can, you know. But teach him A Swift interception. Obviously, if you have the really bad, crappy League Nitta, give him the S intercept because you need to get rid of that unit. He's cursing your inventory, right? Anyways, guys, that'll be pretty much it. I can't pull on the gacha. Obviously, I don't have. Frankly, I really don't want to spend the money right now. I'm not pleased with how KLab has been running the game. I'm not pleased with a lot of things about the game lately. I don't think the game is headed into like a great direction, and as such, I find it really difficult to give my money. Obviously, some people I know wanted me to pull on the gacha and they offered to donate. You're welcome to do that if you want. Obviously, you should worry about your own account first. But I do appreciate any donations for the work that I do, which is the spreadsheets and these videos that hopefully are helpful for you. But primarily, I just want to hear your thoughts. You know, if you want to go into the comments and tell me what you think about these units. Primarily, I really want to hear what people think about this Gentile. And I think he's like the most boring double S release we've ever seen. he's like not interesting. I think he would have been more interesting as a pass cutter. Green doesn't really need more blockers. I guess maybe that's the point. And I think most of the pass cutters in green are auto pass cutters that are Dream Collection or Gacha, and it's kind of like a weird, strange way of building, I guess. I guess they didn't want to load it with even more auto interceptance, so they gave them like a really solid auto blocker. I don't know. I can't pretend to understand what KLab is doing anymore. Anyways, guys, thank you for checking out this video, and again, leave a comment, tell me what you thought, and if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and please click subscribe, and I hope to see you guys soon. Good luck on your pulls, and see you guys later.